Okay, guys, welcome. This is episode 2 of the CreatorsBarn Podcast, and today's guest, I've got the multi-instrumentalist, very talented singer-songwriter, Mr. Zak Bentley. Are you welcome, Zak?
That makes me really uncomfortable, but thank you. Thanks anyway.
No, man, honestly, you're one of the few people that I know that can play pretty much any instrument to a stupidly good level, and you can sing, and you're a nice bloke, so it's all round. Don't like you very much.
I didn't agree to this. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm glad to be in. What we're going to do though is, being as I know you've got a lot of your own material and a lot of stuff and shows stuff coming up, we're going to get onto that in a little bit. But one of the things and the reason for the podcast was that we get to talk about people's experiences from the industry. And one of the things that I mentioned, we've had a brief chat about before, and was kind of like the Iceberg Theory mentality of working musicians. Right. Just for anybody that's not 100% sure on what that is, it's when you see the tip of the iceberg above the ocean, and that's like, say, your working band, your working musician, but you don't see all the work and everything that went into it underneath. And that's the idea of the Iceberg Theory. So one of the things I wanted to talk to Zak about was his experiences working in industry in multiple different kind of function bands, wedding bands as well, which is one of your main things, isn't it? And the kind of attitudes that you've had when people are talking, particularly about money.
Yes, of course.
Okay, yeah. So what sort of things have you experienced when you've got a set fee for your band and the things that you take into consideration, like travel, expenses, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I'm obviously not any kind of authority in this. These are just my experiences. But the fee's a big one. I mean, I had a venue approach me the other day for the country band. We'll get onto it in a minute. But and they're like, what's your fee? Love to book you out and all that. Looking at doing like a country day event. And I gave him the fee. And he was like, I don't know if we could manage that. I was like, okay, well, there's always things to be done. Maybe a reduced set or a few people, different time of day, whatever it is. And I said, what is your budget? Let's just kind of get out of the mental acrobatics of talking the fee. Just give me a budget and we'll. And he gave me his budget. I was like, that's like almost a third of what the budget is.
Yeah. And
there's no animosity, nothing like that. There were no awkward questions of, all that for live music, like none of that. It's just, I think, the realistic expectation of what people think you're worth. Not necessarily what you're worth, but you're worth to their venue.
Yeah.
And in reality,
or their event.
Yeah, or their event.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what that means in practice for us as the band. It's like, for example, if you're given a fee of 400 quid for the band, and that's what someone wants to pay you, I don't think that's been thought through in the sense of, okay, so it's X of hours and the travel to the venue. You've got to pay 4 blokes. It's 2 hours live performance. Da.
Yeah.
That doesn't really equate to 100 quid a man.
No.
If you think of it that way,
Doesn't even cover fuel.
Yeah, not really. So I think that's a big one, because I think a lot of people don't really consider how much work's gone in to get you to that point. It's not just a case of turn up, play, we're paying you for the 2 hours worth of live time. It's that, like you say, the fuel, the travel time, the setup. If it's a wedding, it's all the extra stuff that goes into the wedding, all the amount of prep you've got to do for it. But then, in a simpler kind of way, also the hours, days, weeks, months, years in some cases, practice, actually realistically in most cases, years of practice that have gone in to get you to the point where people actually want to book you in the first place. And that's not the booker's problem, but it just does go into it.
That you just hit on one of the points that I was going to come back to, which was, it's kind of like, that's the job. Yeah. So, it's the same, if you're paying someone to come and, do a fence in your garden, you're not expected to pay for their training and everything else.
Yeah, of course not.
But they generally turn up and it's like maybe a one-man job, a two-man job. They're not travelling hundreds and hundreds of miles and so on and so on. Yeah. Whereas there's seems to be an expectation, especially with wedding and function bands, that you will travel stupid amounts of distance for the same money as if you were doing a gig around the corner.
Which we do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different setups especially in function world. You can either go and run it yourself. The benefits there are more money, but probably fewer gigs, versus if you work with like a management or an agency where their money goes into promotion and marketing, you're going to get more gigs, but if you like a lower fee because you've got to pay the agent and the marketer and that kind of thing. Right. It's working that out. So I don't mind talking about it. So with the wedding band I run, where I do most of my gigs.
I know what it's called, but just for the people.
So it's called. I didn't pick the name. I just want to say that to any of the cameras. The name has nothing to do with me. But it's called the Indiana's Wedding Band.
Yeah.
I think Indiana Jones with an S at the end of it. Don't know why. Works. But
Well,
yes.
you're busy enough.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we do enough. There are worse problems to have, for sure. We are very fortunate in that sense. We work with, to be fair, a really good marketing agency, management company, whatever you want to call them. And they're very good at their job, which helps us for sure. But as a result of that, obviously they take their cut, which is fine. So yeah, we do a lot of gigs, but it's a lot less than I would charge to go on my own. Not on my own, sorry, to send the band dependently without the agency, if that makes sense.
Yeah, right.
So the fee's less, but there's more of them, more of the gigs. I did this thing we were talking about where I've just forgot the point I was making.
Well, let's say, for instance, just to bring it back, if you say you've got loads of gigs because you work, the benefits being with an agency.
Yep.
So you're going to get more gigs, but probably a lower fee because obviously there's an agent's fee, so on and so on. So roughly, how many gigs would you say you've done in a year? Just for that particular band?
Just that particular band, it's between, since the dreaded COVID, it's been between 130 and 150 weddings and events per year with that one band.
Right, okay. That's pretty busy.
Yeah, man. I mean, but it's, typical music industry, and it's the same across the board. It's not just weddings, it's for any musician, you'll know this. January, February, and usually March as well, it's dead. So it's not like an even split, however many gigs per month. It's the bulk of that is in July, August, and September, when it's like, I think my busiest was about 25, 26 weddings in 1 month, which was just monstrous. Oh, mate, it was monstrous. And I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm complaining. I'm very fortunate to have, the job and that amount of work coming in. Of course I am. But it would be nicer if it was an even split. It's like a good number in January through to December, not just no work for the first quarter of your year, and then more work than you can shake a stick at in August.
So, and if I know it's going to sound like a stupid question, but sort of what's the kind of like distances have you done? What sort of, when you, oh really, that bad? That look you just gave me.
Yeah, so you know what, this weekend we did a gig in Newcastle.
Right, okay.
Which with the weather and the traffic on a Friday on the M6, took our drummer, Liam, Liam Price. Yeah. Liam Price, for anyone who wants to go and check him out, wonderfully talented individual, and he'll hate me saying that, so you're welcome, Liam. Have that one.
No, but you're right though.
Oh yeah, so, he's one of those people we all dislike because they can just do everything. He's one of them. Anyway, so it took Liam, I think, about 5.5 to 6 hours to get to the gig.
Okay.
And his fee doesn't change. To bring it back to what we were talking about earlier, the fee doesn't change. The fee's the same.
Yeah.
And then the day after, we were in like Devon. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a venue not far from us, Fairlawns, the Spa.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a lovely 10-minute drive from my house.
Yeah.
You'd think I'd played there a lot, wouldn't you? I've played there once in about 4 years.
Really?
It's always the gigs that are far. Yeah. I think the venue we've played more than any other is one up in Carlisle.
Right.
And it gets to a point where it's like, obviously we must be on the suppliers list, which again is lovely that the venue like us enough to put us on that. But sometimes it's a bit like, oh, can you not? It's a bit far.
Do you ever get to a point where you actually you've said no, we're just not doing that?
Yes. So with our particular relationship with our agent, or again management, whatever, it's within 3.5 hours.
Right.
That's without traffic.
Okay.
Now there's been a few occasions where
that could be Lake District.
Yeah, we gig Lake District. Lake District.
Yeah.
Newcastle's further, man.
Yeah,
Newcastle's definitely further.
Yeah, that's one. But I mean, as a regular, you used to say 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming Newcastle isn't a regular.
It's more regular than I'd like it to be.
Wow, okay. I stand corrected.
No, it's just look at the draw, man. And I really want to, I'm going to keep stressing this so much through this podcast, this conversation. I'm not complaining. It's just, every job's got pros and cons.
Do you know, go on, sorry.
So yeah, I'd say most musicians in function world anyway would probably agree. The biggest con is probably the travel. But again, rough with the smooth.
Yes. Because
of that, the rough travel times and whatever, it means we get to do this for a job. And as much as we all might moan about it, I prefer it to the typical 9 to 5, just for me and my lifestyle.
Yeah, that was one of the questions, and I kind of know the answer. And again, it's more I'm just asking for the sake of it. But it's so music. You're a full-time musician, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I had the same conversation a couple of weeks back when we met up with someone, then, and he was a full-time musician, and they were not being negative. It was just like they were looking for more. Mm-hmm. And I was like...
Out of life, you mean?
Out of maybe the work, maybe doing something different. Okay. And I was just like, but you're a full-time musician. And they were like, the first thing they said was exactly what you've just said there, was, I'm not complaining. I love it. I know how fortunate I am. Mm. And it was one of those things where people look at it and say, that's what I really want to do. And the previous guest, Nick, who was on, he said there's this big thing where there's a difference between what people will do and what they're prepared to do in order to get where they want. So if you want to work as a full-time musician, you've got to do the ugly with the nice, haven't you?
Yeah, I think there's something you guys said to us actually. So if anybody doesn't know, so the reason we know each other, so you were my tutor when I came to this college.
Don't tell anybody that.
I'm telling everyone, mate. Lovely Des. So Des was my tutor back in...
That's been edited out.
All right, fair enough. Right, we'll restart it then. So I know Des when I came to college, whatever. Anyway, the point being, one of the other tutors actually, they said, if you want to make a living in music, realistically, you've got to do everything.
Yeah.
So whether it's teaching, gigging, function gigging, originals gigging, whatever it is, like there's so many different things you can do and probably need to do. It's very rare that I think you can make a living from just doing one thing.
Yeah.
Again, like the amount of gigs we have, again, that I'm very fortunate, and I don't think that's all that common. It's a testament to how good our management team are with all the promotion they put in. I don't think 150 gigs a year is that common. And what I used to have to do pre-COVID is I taught as well.
Yeah.
So I went and did the peripatetic teaching around schools, teaching drums and guitar in different secondary schools, and I'd gig on the weekends. So I was like a weekend warrior, if you want to call it that. And then this is kind of weird to say. It's a bit counterintuitive actually, but COVID for me was actually great for my career long term. Obviously during COVID, everything went out the window. No gigs, we were unviable and all that lovely stuff that was kind of being spattered around. But post-COVID, because I got into functions, the wedding market especially just boomed. Because of all the weddings that were cancelled because of COVID, then came back and there weren't enough bands almost to fill the demand. So in that sense, COVID for me is actually, I know this sounds crass and horrible to say, just career-wise, long-term is actually, I think, been beneficial for me.
I know quite a few people that have said, I'll be respectful for the people that struggled and everything. But I know quite a few people that said personally, COVID was a time for them to reset. Mentally, emotionally, even financially. It was a time for them to reset, and it was fortunate for those people, not so fortunate for other people. But they always say there's always a silver lining with certain things. Where, so you're talking about being a full-time musician, right? Okay, and we talked about people who feel fortunate enough to be able to do that, right? So what else is it that you do then? What we used to call it was a portfolio career.
Okay,
so it was all music, but it was a portfolio. So you were a performer, a teacher. So those were two elements. Some of it could have been a transcriber, maybe. So it was all music related. So what else have you done? I'm going to get you to talk about your music and your bands.
Oh no, nobody wants that.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So would you want to, before we move on with this, do you want to talk a little bit about the other stuff that you're currently doing? And your own music, because you've got some stuff that's out and where people can get hold of it. All of this is going to be in the description, by the way. So just give us some details on what you've been doing.
Sure. So I am a country singer-songwriter. I've been into country for years, since I was a young'un. My granddad was a pro country drummer in the 70s, 90s, I think. And that really got me into it. Anyway, you didn't ask that. So I do country music.
It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. I'm not used to this self-promotion. It doesn't feel very nice. So Zak Bentley, that's across all social media platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. My name is spelt a bit weird. Like Des said, it'll be in the description anyway. I'll do that. Those are originals gigs. A lot of them are just acoustic.
Right.
Some of them full band, which we'll get onto in a second. I'll do the wedding thing we spoke about, the Indiana's band, and then I've just started something called Divebar Jukebox, which is a full country live band. And funnily enough, the reason I actually started that is because of this thing we're talking about, is that, your value as a musician, whatever, how viable it is. So my full-time job is musician, but I also have this thing that is creative, this creative endeavor that is just me, this original, these original songs and everything that I want to get out there. But there's much less, quote unquote, value to, I don't know, the consumer for original artists in terms of venues and pubs and that kind of thing. They're much more hesitant to pay you what they would pay a covers band, which I understand. You're going and singing songs that people, for the most part, don't know. So he was like, but I want to do that, but I can't, I need to pay my bills. So I started Divebar Jukebox Band, which is a modern country show, pretty much all covers, save for a couple towards the end of the night, a couple of mine. With the intention of getting that out there, because venues fingers crossed, want to book that, and
Yeah.
we can be paid, you know, the normal going rate for a musician and a band to go and do those shows while still getting my own songs out there. It's me trying to hack the way it works a little bit. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I'm doing.
Well, you're busy boy, even seriously, you know what I mean? But the thing is, you mentioned something, and it's something that we touched on last time with Nick, and I briefly brought it up, and it was talking about what people will and won't pay for original music.
Right.
And because I know venues that will they will book only covers bands. 99% they will only book covers bands because they know the punters will come in and they'll do the bar.
Yeah.
And that's where they get the money.
So
and
that's quite common.
Yeah, it is. And they pay. Then obviously they pay the band. The band are getting paid. Brilliant. Hopefully, most of them, and I do, as far as I know, most of them do. They do the same thing as you. Is they're using that money to fund their own creative endeavours.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a smart way to do it, and it's the only at the moment. It seems to be the only way you can. You mean obviously if you dedicated like so many. I know so many. Original artists, I mean, that's so dedicated, and they were working non-stop, and they're getting very little back to show for their work.
Yeah,
you know, like there's a typical example of somebody saying, "I really liked your last song. Where did you hear it? Spotify."
Yeah,
right. It's available on Apple Music and Bandcamp and SoundCloud. Oh, did you buy it? No. And that's, for me, that's the biggest thing. Is actually trying to get people's attitudes around the idea that if you just put your hand in your pocket and pay, it's normally like £1 for a single or something silly.
I think it's like 79 pence on
iTunes, maybe.
It's been a while since I've looked. It may be.
Yeah, I think the last one I bought was 69 or 79p, something like that. But I did buy it. I bought some stuff on Bandcamp and SoundCloud stuff because I know the money's going directly to pretty much to the artist.
Yeah,
and it'd just be something fresh and new to see public that listen to music, that use music, because we all use music, which is another big topic maybe for another time, but we all use music for different reasons. But most of it's for enjoyment. Well, any other kind of activity, you pay for that enjoyment.
Yeah.
You know, you go to cinema, you pay £9, £6 for popcorn or whatever it is. A pint of beer is £6 now in town.
I guess though people's perspectives, which I understand, is they are paying for it. They're not paying directly the artist.
No, yeah.
They're paying their, what is it, like £10 a month for Spotify?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, something like that, £10 for Apple
I
Music.
think they're all roughly.
Yeah, but basically a monthly subscription fee to consume the music they want to hear. So from their point of view, I fully understand it.
Absolutely.
You know what, it's the same as, I watch Netflix, I'm sure you do as well.
Yep.
Rather than go out now and buy a film, I'll stream on Netflix. So I understand it. And I think that's why a lot of artists now, it's merch.
Oh,
it's merchandise.
Yeah, massively.
To the point where I did I was part of a tour recently and there was no fee for the support act, which I understand, whatever. Because of that, I took a few less gigs than I was actually available for just to make it work, work for me. But part of that conversation was, you can set up a merch stand though, sell your merch. So I think that's so much, it's now a part of making money as an independent artist, is it's even part of conversations now where you're looking to get work. It's like, we can't pay you, but have your merch stand. And I'm not dogging on that. I'm not criticising. That's just part of the conversation now for some people.
Well, this is quite a common topic at the moment where we've been talking about, well, historically, since streaming has become the main source for people to get their music and moved away virtually completely, not totally, but almost completely away from physical sales. Yeah. That the artist, that's the only way. You've got to go merchandise because it's the only way you're actually going to make any kind of real money back from your music, which is kind of, in the old days, it was a mixture of physical sales, the concerts and the merchandise. Yeah. And now you've kind of got the concerts and the merchandise and then a trickle coming in from the streaming.
Literally a trickle.
It is a trickle. Yeah, well...
We were talking about this a little bit before we started.
Yeah.
So...
Are you okay? You okay talking about this?
Yeah, mate, it doesn't bother me. People can know I'm poor, that's fine. So, I worked it out right. So I think my most popular song on Zak Bentley Spotify, called Sophia Song, should you wish to go and consume that. I think the amount of money that should have earned, not me personally, obviously the split's a complicated thing, but the money should have earned, the music should have earned around 35 or something £1,000 if it was done back on, the physical sale of singles.
So you told me that before we started and you just said it again and it still shocked me.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
by the way, I use the word should have earned. That's what it would have earned back in the day.
Yes. Yeah.
What it's actually earned me, that specific song. I think it's either, because it was a while ago I worked it out, it's either that song or the collection of everything I've put out.
Yeah.
It's actually earned me about between £200 and £300, £200 and £300, versus way back when it would have earned about £30,000.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's also it's a tenuous link back to the original idea, the iceberg, and that is when you've got that. If you imagine the amount of the money you're actually getting, as opposed to all the work that went into it, the recording of, the preparing, the songwriting, the rehearsing, to go in the studio, and you're paying somebody in the studio. Producers don't work for free. Studios don't hire out studios for free. No. That's all cost hundreds and hundreds of pounds potentially, and then you only see that little margin come back. Absolutely.
But I don't know. I do think if you're getting into music to make money, though, pick a different one.
We had this exact discussion. Yeah, don't get into music. You can, it's there, exactly, and you can. But I think everybody that I've spoken to, and potentially people coming on, and Nick's another example, yourself, other people I know personally, they're doing it for the love. They're just for the love of music because of what it means to them personally.
Yeah.
Like you've got this, you said it before, you've got this creative person that needs to get out. Yeah. You need to make these music and make these songs.
Yeah.
So
I think remembering that is tricky sometimes, though.
Yes.
Which I know sounds really, really cynical, but it's just realistically, when your entire life revolves around one thing.
Yeah.
You've got to intentionally find ways to keep that love and passion for something alive. So when all I was doing was, because I've not been writing and releasing my own stuff for that long. It's been since like 2021, 2022, I think. Pre then, when all I was doing was functions and just money for me was just a way to earn money. And that's not why I started music at all. Yeah. It just became that for me. It was work, teaching, gigging, whatever. Then when I'm at home, the last thing I wanted to do is, you know what, I'm going to pick up my guitar. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm going to sit there and watch the new thing on Netflix rather than go and buy it. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not. What I'm not going to do is sit and play this thing that I've just been playing for the last.
Yeah.
Because then it becomes you attach financial worth to these things that you should just be doing for enjoyment.
That's a great point, Zach. You've just made an excellent point.
Thank you, Matt. That's why you have me on.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. No, it's true. But another thing, the other way of looking at it is when it's your whole life, and you have a multiple knockbacks. Let's say, like, a gig doesn't come off, or you don't get paid for something, or, I don't know, maybe a record doesn't get the reaction you want.
We do a podcast that no one listens to.
Yeah, cheers. But that, when you've got those constant, that becomes, it's cumulative, it stacks. So all of a sudden, the thing that you're doing because you love it, it's like you've just said, it's easy to forget because those negatives, you say, why am I bothering? And the amount of people, and some of them, but the amount of people when they've had something that's gone wrong with the band, quit Des, I'm done. I ain't doing music anymore. And the only thing I've said to them is take a break, have a breather, do something else for a bit, come back. And most of them tend to do exactly that because they're still driven by the love of the music. They just needed that break to get rid of the negativity. Yeah. So, no, that was a great point, by the way.
Thank you very
much. You're welcome.
No, a lot of these points are, I don't know, I have the benefit of having, I mentioned him earlier, Liam Price, one of my closest friends. We have many of these conversations, pretty much exactly like this, but without the microphones. Yeah. So I'm just regurgitating Liam's intelligence. All these points.
Don't
I've just come from Liam.
I'm hoping he's going to come on.
No, I spoke to him. He's very much interested in it, actually.
Yeah. So I'm hoping he will.
For a small fee.
Yeah, probably. Right. Is there anything else you want to add to that kind of the kind of the value, the iceberg kind of thing we sort of started down talking about?
It's weird, the things you don't really think about because I guess you're so focused on, I'm just going to make music. Well, the only thing I want to think about is just the creative side of it. But then actually, there's the business side of music, and there's all the self-promotion and social media and stuff, which honestly I just find a little bit exhausting for me. If you look through my social media, it's pretty poor, to be honest, because it's finding time, man.
Everybody I know that does this, does music and does social media, every single person, I don't know one single person that says this is the most enjoyable part of it. It's the biggest drain on them, I think, emotionally, because they're having to invest in it. Yeah. And every single post has to be professional. Yeah. You're obviously trying to promote something new. We touched on it in the last the last podcast with Nick where we were talking about you can't do like you just 20-30 seconds of Instagram fame. You can't do the same. You keep doing the same thing and then you get stuck in that. So you can't just do a 30-second reel that just repeats. You've got to constantly upload new content.
There is a way around it, not around it, but it's a very fine line, but there is a way to achieve both. Like, I think, what did you use the example? Was it standing on a cake playing guitar?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you pick the wrong trend and you become known for that trend, then you're probably going to have a hard time then people taking you seriously for the thing you're actually trying to promote.
Yeah.
But I think there is a way to try and get, you know what I mean, to try and hack into that and get people on board. I think I don't know. It's tricky. I wish I had examples for you right now.
Yeah.
But there are people that have done it.
Yeah. But it's powerful. I mean, social media, it's massively powerful to promote your stuff. It's just, I think there is a thing where it's expected in order for you. People just will forget you. If you disappear for 2-3 weeks, most people won't check in to see where you are.
Yeah, no.
They don't remember you, and then all of a sudden you pop back up. But it seems to be that the only way to continually have momentum is by regularly uploading, and that's got to be at least once, maybe twice a week.
Man, more every day.
Oh yeah, I know. With some people, again, we talk about it's like 2-3 times a day for some of these people.
Yeah,
and it's like that's a full-time job.
Oh yeah,
that's a full-time job.
Absolutely, I really struggled with it. But you know what? I found it actually worked way more than, because there was a point in time when I was trying to be very big on the social media thing, just in terms of consistency. Yeah, I'm going to post every day. I'm going to make some form of content, which isn't just a photo going, "Hello, I'm still here." You know, something a bit engaging, whatever.
That's kind of what I was linking on to. Yeah.
One, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And two, I wasn't very good at it. I'm not very good at social media. Luckily, so for my wife, she's better at that stuff than I am. Right. So I'll just leave that up to you do that, which is nice for me.
I was going to ask you that because you pretty much you normally come across to me. I know you do the function and wedding band stuff, but you come across as normally you're like a one man show. You do everything yourself.
In terms of,
well, you know, you're writing the material, you're playing it, you're going to the studio to record the stuff.
Oh yeah.
So if you're doing the social media on top of it, it's a lot for one person.
Yeah, but what I found, that's what I was talking about. I keep doing this thing where I forget what I'm talking about, so I do apologise to everyone listening. So what I found actually worked more than any of the social media stuff I did was just gigging, going and doing gigs. And again, I was fortunate enough to land on a tour with an outfit called Nashville at Heart, which they're going all around the UK. Great band, by the way. If you're into country and you've not seen them, try and find a date that isn't sold out because they are fantastic. But I found that my engagement and streams and interaction and all this stuff across social media, and even in just conversations I was having with people, like at the gigs, far outweighed anything that ever came from social media. Yeah. You know, I'd hate looking at music in this very quantifiable way, but number of followers, number of likes, number of comments, messages, that kind of thing, that all feels a bit ugly to talk about, but it is all valid, especially this day where, you know, you'll have record companies turning away perfectly valid artists because their social media following isn't big enough. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's just part of the conversation today. But I found just that going out and gigging just worked way better. Yeah. But again, I was fortunate enough to land on a gig that had a big audience anyway, and I just kind of piggybacked off of that. Right. Unfortunately, social media is kind of a necessary.
It's necessary evil.
Evil.
Yeah. 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 I just know some people, and it literally just drains the fun out of a lot of what they actually do for fun. Yeah. But like I said, it is a necessary thing, and you have to do it. And like I said, he's powerful, and it's part of the course now. Yeah. Yeah. But one of the things that I was talking about, looking at that and saying about the likes and things, was, and we very briefly, quite a while back now, talked about why people won't comment or like or subscribe to other people's content. Right. And we mentioned it's one of the other topics, but we mentioned about it's like a competitive mindset. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And it's. Do you remember what you said? Do you remember, or do you want me to remind you? Oh God, remind me! I think I'm going to cringe. How long ago was this? It was at least 18 months. I was a very different man 18 months ago. So okay, yeah, I might not agree with Mum. No, it was. But you made a point, and it was, well, I'm releasing stuff, you're releasing stuff, or I'm writing whatever, and you're writing something. But if I see it, I know you, but because I don't want to be seen to be liking your stuff, because if you don't like mine back. And there's this whole kind of, you might be doing worse. You basically, in a nutshell, you said it tends to be more of a, if I like your stuff, it means I'm not doing as well as you mentality. Yeah. And I don't know if you still agree with that. I don't think I said I was doing that, just to clarify. No, you weren't doing it. But it was my question to you, because there were certain things I was pushing at the time. Yeah. And I just couldn't get people to interact and engage with the posts. Yeah, I think
it's a problem. I think with a lot of things, but especially music, and it's the biggest problem in music, which doesn't need to be one. I would say honestly, in terms of originals music, anyway.
Right.
So, okay, I'll do some country gigs with some other originals artists who are fantastic, in my opinion, better than me. To be honest, like everyone's, it's never that one side, is it? There's always some things people are better than others. Everyone's got the skill set, all that stuff. But anyway, the guy's great. And when I first met him, as much as what I said to you then, I still agree with fundamentally.
Yeah.
Of, daddy's the way it is for a lot of people, but it doesn't need to be. I still find myself having to tell myself that I don't need to be like that.
Yeah.
And I know I'm being really vague. I'm going to try and remake my point. So ultimately, if he does well on the country scene, that brings country up, which brings me up.
Yeah.
That brings everyone up. If music does well, music does well.
Yeah.
There are some examples where if we're both going for exactly the same gig and there's only one slot and he gets it and I don't, then I understand the competitive mindset there.
Yes.
But ultimately, you all drag each other up.
That's exactly what I was getting at. Is there's natural competition there anyway. Yeah. Because you could go for a job as a guitarist in a band, and there's two of you exactly the same, but because of the way one of you looks, you get the other one gets the job, and so on and so on. You get that. That's not the issue. It was more about looking at what you've just said, which is looking at music as a whole and saying if everybody that's creating music is involved in live music or bands, even work in studios, if everybody just supported each other's, then everybody wins. Yeah. And that's one of the things it's a big question that I've got hanging over. It hangs over my brain a lot, and it hangs over other people that I speak to. Yeah. Where it's not, because no matter what one of the points I made, somebody asked me a question about this. And they said, "What does it matter?" And I said, because sometimes you could be somebody just releasing your first song, and nobody interacts with it, or you get like a couple of likes and things. And I said, sometimes for that person, for somebody to say, "I really enjoyed that," or just giving it a thumbs up. I mean, that's the most lazy compliment you can have, really, isn't it? A thumbs up. but to that person, that could mean a gold medal.
Mate, I sent a song to somebody once. I think it was I sent a song. It might have been a music video actually that I'd had made and done or whatever. Yeah. And I sent it to someone, and it was a family member as well. And I sent it to him expecting I don't like, personally, I don't really like yes men. I don't need somebody to tell me everything's great. Yeah. Just, some feedback with a bit of substance to it, right? And I sent him this whole thing, and he knew I'd been working on it for months, like ages. And I literally just got not even, cool, mate, a thumbs up emoji.
I thought it was going to be a smiley face.
No, dude, just a thumbs up emoji. And I was like, all right. Okay. Thanks, man. Yeah.
But that's the thing I suppose I'd say I don't get. I'm trying to be the voice of other people I've spoken to, I guess, by saying that it's not really, well, why can't everybody just chuck in and just say, let's just support?
Like I said, that's human nature, man. I think.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And this is what I worded in a really stupid way about 5 minutes ago. So even though, everything brings everybody up. So if this guy does well, that brings me up, whatever. Yeah. If I do well, it brings her up, and X, Y, Z. But it's really difficult to not think sometimes like, right, we're on the same gig tonight. I've just done my set. It was cool. He's just done his set and he's smashed it at the park. Yeah. Everyone's going mad. And it's really hard not to go, he's better than me. It's really difficult to not do that. And so rational me, I hope quickly turns that around into, but it doesn't matter. If he does well, you do well. You're on the same gig. Yeah. You're friends of his, whatever. But the initial response is often like, why can't I be doing that? Or, they've just got this, I've got it. And then you just get, it's a form of jealousy, really.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's tricky.
But it is human nature. You are right.
Yeah, and I do want to clarify, for me personally, it's just that initial kind of twinge of like, but, I try and quickly rationalise that for myself.
But I think that's natural. It's
hard to get away from, is what I mean. Yeah, it is hard to get away from. To the point where some support gigs came available that I wasn't available for. And they said, do you know anybody? And my brain went straight away to this gent I'll talk about. Yeah. I don't know names, but this guy. And then for a split second I was like, I don't want to send him the gig. Right. Because that'll put him ahead of me. But then again, just, not too long after, it was like, that's quite poor actually. Yeah. No, here's that. And this was all happening in like the space of 10 seconds. He was like, oh, this bloke, oh no, I can't give him that. Actually, no, come on. Wind your neck in, that's it, whatever that is. And I sent the dude's name, and I gave him this glowing review to these people that were after this the support slot. But even then, like, you just can't get away from but if he gets the gig, then I'm going to get less gigs. They might never give me a gig again because I like him more than me. Like, which is ridiculous, because how many people might think that about me and my set? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, people that I've been higher than on the bill, for example, might look at me that way. It's like, you know what? There's this meme going around, and I see it all the time. You might want to. I don't know. No, it's not inappropriate. It's fine. And it's, what is it? It's a guy in like a supercar, like a sports car. Next to him is a guy in like a people carrier, and he's looking at it going, oh, I want that. Next to him, there was a guy on a bike looking at him going, oh, I want that. Next to him, someone walking, I want that. And, you know, it goes down, whatever. And it's the same kind of thing. Like, no matter what, you're looking at people that, you know, you want to be where they are. You want to have what they have. Obviously, this isn't just applicable for music. This is everything, but we're talking about music. So you're looking at people playing stages or playing with people that you want to play with, and you're annoyed or jealous or sad or whatever it is that you aren't doing that yet. But there'll be people looking at you thinking, oh, I want to do what he's doing. Yeah. It's always the way. But it is difficult. It's tricky to not get caught up in that.
I mentioned this before, and it was about there's always that line where you say people are always looking up.
Yeah.
And you say, well, what did it, instead of being, well, I want that, it's all, well, what did they do to get there? And that's when sometimes you find there's people and you say, well, they've been, like you said, they've been like gigging, like, you know, 150 dates a year. They've been doing this, they're doing self-promotion, they're doing everything. The person that's on the bike or in the little people carrier or wherever, they're doing like 4 gigs a year and doesn't put social media content up. And you go, if you want to be there, you've got to do what they're doing.
That's where I'm at, man, at the problem. At the minute, that's the problem. So like, because all my time's taken up doing the wedding band stuff, I rarely find time to do my own gigs. It's very few, and I think when I was at that point where I was comparing myself to these people that are playing stages I want to play and all that kind of thing, it was that, okay, what are they doing? Like you just said, like what are they doing that I'm not? Yeah, and I'm not making excuses, by the way. It's just how it is. It's fine. You just
one of the things that I clarified before, but I wanted to say the same thing. There's no excuses, and there's also no cynicism or any of that kind of stuff. It's just you talking about what you've done.
Yeah, it's just experiences.
Yeah. And the way you've approached certain things, because the way you've approached them, I'm hoping somebody listening and watching is going to be able to say, well, I do that. I take that negative approach, but I don't let it go. And I keep it. And I might be listening to this, maybe yourself, and then hopefully they say, oh, next time I'm just going to go, actually, we're all going to win here. So, you know, I don't think there's anything there. I think just you talking is good. So
I don't know. Honestly, I think the comment section is going to be filled with, I'm sure this was great, but I couldn't understand the word this kid was saying.
I've got to try and get people to watch it first.
Yeah, I'll be right. Just strip in the corner, something I'll get the views up.
So what would your solution then be? What would your solution be to that issue then? Because you can't really, right now, you're not in a position to kind of like knock down the wedding bands and stuff you're doing, but you need that time to promote yourself and do your thing. So what have you got a solution in mind? I mean, you're going to maybe looking at getting someone in to support or help you. I mean, I know you said your wife helps you with some of the social media, but what's your solution to that?
No, I can't remember if we touched on it on air or pre-recording, but that's why I started Divebar Jukebox, the country band. Yeah. So it means I can go out and still earn money, you know, going to venues where, like you said earlier, that will only pretty much pay for covers bands. Yeah. But segueing some of my, once you've got to the end of the set and you've played banger after banger for them, and you've kind of, quote unquote, earned the right to play your own songs.
Won them over a little bit.
Yeah. And then they want to hear your own stuff. Then it's like, oh, well, we like the dude. Yeah, let's hear his stuff. Yeah. That's my plan, to kind of get my stuff out there, but still get paid. It's like I say, it's trying to, I still need to pay the bills, but I've got this thing I want to do. I don't want to be doing weddings forever. Like, you know, that's natural. I think everybody wants to progress. Whatever your job is, nobody wants to stay in the same place forever. Yeah. So that is my plan, I think. And just, I'm trying to be a bit better with social media, but not in the playing the game kind of way. Yeah. Just to genuinely put myself forward a bit more, as in, here I am, here's me. Not like here's me doing a challenge. Like I said, I really do think there is a way to blur the line, to ride that tightrope of, I'm doing a trend, but it's still authentically me. There is a way of doing that. Yeah. I'm not interested in doing that. It takes too much time to find that thing, and then do it, put the time to create. I think for me, what works better is, and again, just for me, is just trying to be myself. Because that's what I'm like at gigs as well. And again, like every artist is different. Some people have got this like persona, this version of themselves where it's like, right, I will be. For example, Robbie Williams, I think he's got a bit of a bad rap because people think, oh, there's Robbie, he's that, you know, quote unquote arrogant showman everywhere. Yeah. And I know people who know him personally and they're like, no, he's not. He's a completely different. You've got Robbie, who's the singer, and you've got Rob. His mates know him as Rob. Yeah. And it's that, you know, he's come up on stage, going to Nebworth. He's like, right, Robbie, come to me kind of thing.
Yeah.
Fine, that works for some people, and I get it. For me, though, it's just, I'm a slightly more animated version of myself on stage. You know, I have banter with people in the audience. I take the mick out of some people. I told some bloke the other week I was going to nick his tyres if he kept booing me. So, honestly, it's become a thing, right? All the venues around places, and I'll say, if I'm further afield, I'll say I'm from Birmingham, because nobody knows where Walsall is.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the Black Country, I'll say I'm from Walsall.
Yeah.
Mate, I get booed sometimes, right? It's all, you know, it's all good fun, it's all fine. But I was in Bilston, and they actually cheered. And I was like, oh, bloody hell, you know, I normally get booed, whatever. Having a bit of banter with them. And this bloke starts booing, and I was like, mate, don't boo me, I'll nick the tyres off your car. But funnily enough, like, it actually worked, like, people got on side and whatever. But yeah, so for me, I go on stage, I try and be authentically me.
Yeah.
And I feel like that, I don't know, I want to expand that to my social media as well.
I think. Well, you've got your personality. Since I've known you, you've always been who you are. Well,
a bit of a mick taker.
But you've always been funny, and you've got that personality. And I think if you put that out there, that will draw attention.
I don't think my wife would agree.
Oh well.
See, Des says I'm funny.
Yeah. But you know, maybe that's your trend.
Maybe I'll be the next Lewis Capaldi.
So well,
just for the
I
worst
wouldn't
voice.
quite go that
songs.
far. I wouldn't go that far.
Man,
But
the dude is hilarious.
I know he is.
You know what? He's a dude who smashed social media. I would argue that his personality is bigger than his songs.
Yes.
Like what's made that? And I'm not ragging on his songs. He's got some really nice tunes.
Yeah.
Like not everyone's taste, but not everything can be everyone's taste, obviously.
Yeah.
But what people seem to universally agree about this man is that he's just hilarious and really likable.
Yes.
Really, really likable.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to be too off the, you know, we are live. We are live, darling. Have you seen the video he did when he went to New York and he had an issue with the plumbing system in his toilet?
No.
If you've not seen, no, it's funny though. There's nothing gross about it. It's nothing grim. The dude's just hilarious.
Yeah.
So if you've not seen it, go and find that video.
No, I think he was. I think the last thing I saw him on was because he's going off track completely here. But I saw him on Graham Norton. I think he'd had a few drinks and he was really funny. He was talking about how much money he was going to put in his pocket, but he was quite fruitful with the language.
Of course he was.
Yeah, so that was cool. Yeah, he's a funny guy. What I was going to say, Zach, is that I know we've covered maybe the two main topics. We've branched off into a few other bits and pieces. There's one thing I'm going to ask you. This is a bit but for somebody that's been in a position where, a young musician, 16, 17, or even younger than that, trying to then go into where you are now, what would you tell like a 16, 17-year-old version of yourself?
Don't do it, mate. Don't do it. No. Oh, that's a good one. Bear with me. Surprise me with this question. No.
I can give you a minute if you want a minute.
17. No, that's fine. So 16, 17, that's college years. That's around here, innit? So that's, firstly, avoid Des.
Right,
the man's scary.
Thank you for that.
No.
You had to get one in the...
Almost. Sorry, mate.
Yeah. No, seriously, though.
I do think so. Pretty much all my family are musos.
Yeah.
All of them, with the exception of my dad, which I rib him about all the time. He's the one, like, talent just skipped him. My uncle, have you met Simon, uncle?
I don't think so.
Okay. Wonderfully talented bloke, plays everything.
Yeah.
Just, again, one of those gits, he can just do everything.
Yeah.
But it was always right, here's how you earn money. Here's how you earn money as a muso.
Right.
But again, as we spoke about earlier, if you're getting into music to make money, it's not to say you can't make money from music, but if your sole reasoning for doing this creative thing that we all love or are supposed to love is money, don't. That's the big one. And that's not the advice I'd give myself, but it's just more of a, yes, knowing how to make money within the music industry is a very valuable thing. But you need to know how to enjoy it as well.
Yeah.
You need to learn how to enjoy it. And I only started properly enjoying music when I started the album and writing my own stuff, which was 2022.
Wow, really?
Yeah, mate. So I've been gigging since I was 10 and I'm now 27 and I've only been enjoying music in the way that I should be in the last like 2-3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, man. There's elements I enjoy, don't get me wrong. Again, this is not to say, oh, woe is me, I hate music.
Yeah, no.
Not at all. Like, the play I enjoy, this is going to sound very cheesy now, but this doesn't make, for me, you can't beat the feeling of, you know, when you're on stage with a group of players and you all gel. That's the thing. You're not just playing tunes, like when you actually gel with the people you're playing with. And for me, it was always when I was playing kit and there was a bass player. If anybody listening is local to Walsall, you'll know Rob Oakley.
Yeah.
Works in TR, wonderful bass player. When I used to play kit with him, we'd both go for like a random thing, but it'd be the same thing.
Right.
We've not done it before. and you both come out and you just be like, oh, that feeling, you know, the stank face you get as a music. Right. When you edit this camera, that kind of, that face, you know the one. You know the one. So I've always enjoyed music in that sense, but whole scale, there's always been stuff where it's like, oh, this is my job. And, you know, I think it's easy to get down about it. So I think if I'd learned younger how to enjoy it long term, rather than just, well, his pockets of fun, his pockets of enjoyment, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it really it became for me a situation of trying to find snippets of joy in genuinely pretty bleak situations. Not bleak, but pretty like situations. I think it just beat me down for me. And I think a lot of people in function world especially would probably relate to that.
Yeah.
You know, especially because, you know, when it's wedding world, it's like, oh, congratulations, biggest day of your life. For me, it's Tuesday. Like, and I fully appreciate, obviously, for them, and we do genuinely want to give our A game for these people who obviously paying us good money and they're celebrating their friends and family and loved ones all celebrating. It's great, but like any job, sometimes you're just not in the mood for work. Like, or you know, you never know what's going on at home, or maybe you're not very well, or XYZ. Life happens, but you've still got to be Mr. Personality, especially as a front man. You've got to be bringing basically the love and the party to this event. That's a tricky one. So I think trying to find little bits of joy in those situations is what I have been doing pre-actual enjoyment of work, enjoyment of music.
Okay.
So that is probably the advice I'd give to myself. And to be honest, any young player coming up, it's like, if you want to earn money from it, and if you're only getting into music for money, one, don't. Okay, two, if you know you want to earn money from music and it's not just going to be a passion project, make sure you keep the passion project. That's probably the biggest piece of advice I'd give to
That's great.
To a young one. Mine was always piano, actually.
Right.
So when I was younger, I started on drums, and then my granddad pretty soon was like, oh, we're going to get you a piano, you're going to learn piano. Yeah. Cool. Didn't enjoy piano, never enjoyed it. I didn't like lessons, didn't really like the theory. It didn't really feel like a very natural instrument for me to play. Then I found guitar, and that was, my granddad said once, I wish I never bought you that guitar, because all you do is play for like literally 6 hours a day, and you don't touch a piano anymore. So I stopped lessons, all that stuff. But then when I started when I stopped enjoying music work, I'd find that, you know, we spoke earlier about the last thing I wanted to do when I got home was play my guitar. But I would pick up my piano, I would sit down at my piano sometimes. So it's making sure you find little things that you are still passionate about. And I'd argue that if there's something you're really passionate about, maybe don't make it your job.
Okay, that's quite prolific.
No, seriously, so I'd say my job above everything at the minute is singing. I would say that more than...
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe guitar as well, but I feel, I don't know. The thing I do more than anything for work at the minute is, okay, yes, singing and playing guitar. That isn't really my passion anymore. Right. Songwriting is. Yeah. I love songwriting. I actually quite enjoy mixing and producing. So all of my stuff I've produced, I've gone to a studio for that, like audio engineers and that kind of thing, but I've produced all my own stuff. I really enjoy that, but I don't really enjoy the singing and guitar playing part. I love being on stage when it's a room full of people and I'm singing my own songs, but the act of playing and singing isn't the thing I love. Right. I feel like I'm offering a poor version of what I actually think now. I do enjoy it. Yeah. But the thing I'm passionate about is not singing and playing. It's writing for me. Or, you know, a good crowd, or the feeling you get. It's the feeling you get is what I'm passionate about, not the actual thing of doing.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I understand what you mean. Exactly. Yeah. I hope everybody else does, because that's,
Oh, probably not. Yeah. So to try and relate that to the advice I would give a 16, 17 year old, you have that example. Yeah. If you're madly obsessed with playing guitar and you love it because of the thing you're doing, like, I love playing guitar because I love playing guitar. Yeah. I love this genre of music because I love this genre of music, not because I love playing guitar because girls. Like, you know, if the thing you love is because of the thing you love, I'd be hesitant to make that your career, or find a different offshoot which keeps something sacred for you, is what I would say. Keep something sacred that, like, when you are sick of the job, because that happens with everyone, with every job, when you are sick of the job, you've still got that to come back to. That's kind of, it sounds really weird now, but you've protected this little thing. It's like, no one's touching that but me. That is the thing I don't really show anyone. I've not attached financial value to it. When job's rubbish or relationship problems or whatever it is, I can still come back to this thing, and this is the thing that still gives me joy.
That's a great point.
Weirdly, I didn't expect this podcast to get that deep.
Yeah, but really, really good. Seriously, mate, that's a fantastic point, and I think we're going to end it on that one.
Are we? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. If you listen to something else you want to talk about right now, no.
I've spoken enough. I guarantee I'm going to watch this back and be like, oh.
Well, we'll see. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk to the camera for a minute, just basically say, before we go, do you want to give any information out, or are you happy for it to go into the description on the video?
I guess I might as well say it one more time.
Go for it,
Zak Bentley, spelt Z-A-K, Bentley like the car. All social media and Spotify and Apple Music and all those lovely streaming places. And then Divebar Jukebox Band. That's the new country project. I'm not going to plug the wedding band because don't need to. Don't really want to. But yeah, the other stuff, the country stuff, you'll find in the stream.
And your material that you released previous to doing the country band, your stuff, where's that available?
Spotify and Apple Music.
It's all of that's all already on there, and it's just under Zak Bentley.
Yeah, so Zak Bentley's all the original stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Divebar Jukebox Band is the cover stuff.
Just clarifying. That's all.
Yeah. No, appreciate that.
No, lovely, Zak, brilliant. Thank you very much for talking to me and coming in.
I apologise in advance.
Oh no,
what this turns out like.
No, man, because we always have a nice chat. We always have a good time, don't we? So, what other things do we do? Yeah, whatever. But no, hopefully, at some point near future, get you back in.
Might love to.
Okay, lovely. Guys, thank you very much for listening and or watching. And if there's any other topics you want to see and hear covered, leave them in the comments. But other than that, thank you again, and we'll catch you on the next one.